So we wanted to start off by just showing you a few of the main use cases that we are seeing in a lot of enterprise today. And then, of course, there are many more, but I think those will be the main ones. So by offering this new type of connectivity model, the zero trust model, which offers a lot of agility and security in the same place, we see a lot of companies that are replacing their remote connectivity solutions, their remote VPNs, with a solution that is just more fitting to the way they do business today. If it's from the simplicity, the scalability, just supporting their agile needs in this dynamic and hybrid environments of today. So that is one very important aspect of it. Another one is the BYOD and contactors. So for that use case, we actually offer a clientless solution. So you don't need to have anything on the endpoint of the end users. So there again, the combination of the security and the ease of management, where you just don't have the clients themselves, offers a way to manage those scenarios in a very good way. And last one being around the cloud operations, or we call it DevOps and developers, but it's kind of a combination of what I said before. So as you can probably imagine, as we move to the cloud, our environments became much more agile, much more dynamic. Servers are getting up and down all the time automatically. And in order to support secure connectivity for those places, we need a solution that is built in the same way that offer that kind of security. And of course, there are many other use cases, but those are the main ones we are seeing today in the field. So getting back to where we were before, we now support, with the integration between Odo and Checkpoint, really a very easy way for connecting users to internal resources in a very secure manner. So in one sentence, we provide a zero trust or a clientless zero trust network access solution to provide a very simple and secure way for connecting users to internal resources, no matter where they reside. So you can have the hybrid environment managed in the same location. It doesn't matter if your applications are on a cloud environment like AWS or Azure or GCP or any other one, or on-premise. You can have everything in the same place. We offer a very easy way for connecting to internal things. We like to say that with this system, it will be as easy as connecting to any SaaS-type application like a Gmail account. And we do many other things like seeing a sign-on, the history of access around that type of access. Now I want to talk a bit about the architecture to give you just a glimpse of what's happening in the background. So like what Eitan showed before, our cloud service is called Harmony Connect. It is built out of a lot of different points of presence that are spread out globally. And in the Harmony Connect part, the private access part, it is built out of two main components: the control plane. Eitan, you jump one behind.
Sorry about that.
The control plane and the data plane. Those two components are completely separated from each other. So for security reasons, this is part of the zero trust architecture. And there are a lot of different security mechanisms around there. And then we got the users on the left-hand side. And like I mentioned before, it's completely clientless, so you don't need to install anything on the user's device in order to get the users on board. And then we got the data centers on the right-hand side. And then there can be a combination of cloud or on-premise environment. And again, everything can be managed in a central location. So it can be AWS, GCP, Azure, on-prem environment. Everything can be managed in the same place, very conveniently. So we got, like I mentioned briefly, we got the users, we got data centers, and we got our cloud service in the middle where we provide access. So how does it work? In order to start working with the system, you deploy a very simple component that we call a connector. It's a lightweight software component, can run on any kind of Docker or a virtual machine in a very easy manner. It actually takes less than 5 minutes to get it up and running and setting up a new environment. So the system is very, very agile. The way it works is that it creates an outbound connection towards the nearest point of presence in our data plane. So no need for any inbound ports open, only one outbound connection going from the site toward the data plane. So really reducing the attack surface to the bare minimum for connectivity. Then when a user tries to authenticate, he only accesses the control plane, so those components are completely separated. We understand who is the user. It can be credentials, multi-factor, and integration to one of the various identity providers like Okta or Azure AD or ADFS or Ping or OneLogin or really any one of the different kind. We understand who is the user and that he is an approved user. And then we present to him in his user portal a dashboard of the resources which he is allowed to access to. And they can be across any kind of environment like I mentioned before. And eventually when the user tries to access something, we notify the data plane that an approved user is about to access and that he's good to go. And then we create an encrypted tunnel all the way end to end from user straight to the resource, while giving a lot of other capabilities around that as well. So again, the system is built to be very agile, very scalable, very secure, and it fits just today's environment in the way we want to offer connectivity. Now, with that being said, I want to show you a quick demo. So I'll stop sharing this screen. So this is the system from a user perspective who is authenticated. And of course, for demo purposes, my user is also an admin to the system. This is why I got this nice button here. And I also opened it in a different tab. And I'll just show you the complete picture between a user who's using the system and an admin who's managing the system very quickly so you can have an understanding of what's happening here in the background. So each user has its own micro segment of resources which he can access. And this is what he sees as a user. There could be different types of resources. Different ones work slightly different. For example, web applications are pretty straightforward. You can access inside very fast. We can have single sign-on. Remote desktop type resources, so you can access your desktop or a Windows server over an RDP session. Again, very friendly, very nice. I know I can consume different things here and do whatever I want in the session. And we have many other capabilities around here in the background. What you're seeing in the end is very friendly, but there's a lot of technology and security behind what is happening here, but the user is never aware of that. So this is the experience, very friendly, very easy. Different type of resources can be in different locations. They can be in cloud environments, they can be internal environments, they can be in on-prem environments, they can be different type of resources. It can be web applications, they can be RDP based, they can be SSH based, they can be databases, and this is how the user sees them. Now, it's important to know that each user sees a completely different view of resources. So depending on the policy, depending on what group I'm part of, this is what I'm seeing as a user. Now I'll jump quickly to the admin side of things to show you how it all works together. So as an admin, I got this, first of all, nice place where I can see my different sites spread out worldwide. So like I mentioned before, in order to have a new site, all I need is that component that we call a connector to deploy in each one of those environments in order to have connectivity. And that's basically what you need. So it can be cloud-based, on-prem, and you can have everything in the central system in the same place, so you can manage everything very easily. Now, once we got our sites onboarded to the system, the next phase will be to onboard our teams, our groups, our users. So that can be managed either locally in the system or with integration to one of the various identity providers, like Okta in this example, and any other one will work as well. So we got our sites, we got our users. The next phase will be our resources. So how we manage things in this zero trust world. So unlike traditional remote connectivity solutions like VPNs, where you get broad network level connectivity, here it's least privileges, meaning users can only access and see what they were pre-approved to access and see. So how you do that in the system? So one way is through the system itself. You choose an application type. let's say it's a web, for an example. You give it a name, just as a random example, it can be a wiki, the internal DNS or internal IP of that resource. So wiki.checkpoint.com and where it resides. Once I choose all of that, I can launch my application. And then I'm getting to this page. We already have a wiki, so I skip over that. And this is what I'm seeing from the admin side of things. So I see the different groups of users who can access this resource. So for an example, my user, or Zilberman, is part of the GNA group. This is why I can see these wiki resources. But very easily I can change things. This is part of the system being very agile, very dynamic. I can remove my access rights, and if I go back and I'll refresh, you'd see that I don't have access to it anymore. It's actually not only that I don't have access, it became completely invisible. So we do completely making it disappear, so you cannot, exploit any soft spot, any servers that wasn't updated on time. You just don't have access to it at all. But very easily you can add that as well, of course. And this is an important part of the system. So it's not only the deployment, which is super easy, it's also how you manage things within the system itself. Now, one other part I want to show you, and there are many others, but these are the important ones, is the visibility of what's happening in the system. So every system activity is always recorded. You always know who did what, when, and where. Everything is always binded to this single point of truth, which is the user identity. So it gives you a complete control of what's happening in the system. And even, or actually the cooler thing is that we do even a deeper dive. So we do a complete session recording of the different user activities within the system. So if you remember the session I did just a few seconds ago, not sure if you can see that. Maybe I'll open this again, because it opened in a different screen. So if you remember, really any activity that the user has done, so you have complete traceability of everything within the system. So you can always know who did what, when, and where. And for different type of resources, it's slightly different. For RDP, it's recorded. For web, it's kind of a trace of all the different activities, the get, post, requests. But this is basically the system. It combines kind of three very important things in our opinion. The first one being the management, the onboarding. So very easy deployment, very easy way to configure and change things. Second one being just the continuous management. So authentication, authorization, who can access what. And the last part is the visibility. So you can have an end-to-end control over your users, over the activity and the visibility at all times across any kind of environment, which is very easily supportive of your dynamic resources. So just for an example, if tomorrow you decide that you want to have a cloud migration, or usually it's not tomorrow, but you have a planned out roadmap to do a cloud migration for AWS in a month, and maybe 2 months after that you decide that Azure has offered you a much better deal. With this system, you can do so without needing to worry about the connectivity, about the different solutions, about buying equipment all the time. It's just very agile and supportive of that kind of agility that today's enterprises need. So with that being said, I'll stop sharing and I'll go back to the slides a bit.
So, or as we wait for Ethan to come, maybe we can try and answer the first two questions that have been asked there by Amos. So the first question that Amos has put across is, how is Harmony Connect delivered, device or cloud? There goes the slides.
So Harmony Connect is a cloud service being managed by us, so you don't need to do anything anything on your end. It comes as a service, so all the heavy lifting is being done on our side. What I have just showed you is the clientless way of accessing things, and it's just part of this larger thing. For if you want to have, for example, internet security, you can have a client-based solution. If you want to have security over branch offices, you need also some sort of a connectivity between your site and our cloud. There's different types of solution, but what I just showed you is a complete clientless solution that is going through our cloud, and all you need to have is just one component in your data center, cloud or on-prem, to provide connectivity back to that environment.
Good, Amos. I believe that answers it. But if you have a follow-up question on that, please, we encourage you to send the question.
Definitely.
Or there's a second question there.
Mm-hmm.
Amos want to know, how do you manage IAM in this environment?
So we actually integrate with identity tools, like I mentioned. So we'll integrate with Azure AD or Okta or ADFS or Ping or any other one of the identity providers, and we will use that integration in order to build your policies in the system according to those identities groups that you already have there. So we will let you leverage your already existing identity solutions in the system itself.
I'd like to talk a little bit about the other key use case that we facilitate with Harmony Connect, which is essentially the internet and SaaS access component, and hopefully I'll get good connectivity. So we spoke until now, what we focused on and always showed you a demo of is the corporate access. How do you actually facilitate clientless access into the corporate? And we're going to augment that with full VPN layer 3 connectivity, network connectivity for those who need full application, kind of native application connectivity. And that's going to be coming in the next 2 or 3 months. What I'd like to focus now is on another key use case, which is what do you do for protecting your users when they're going into the internet and connecting to SaaS or connecting to websites? How do you control all of that? And essentially, what we see in the real world is that most attacks that hit organizations, that hit businesses, come somehow when people are working across the internet. They encounter phishing attacks, they encounter malware, they encounter browser exploits. And what we are doing with Harmony is essentially providing a way to securely connect your users and your offices, and we're not talking about that today, but you can also connect branch offices into the same cloud. How do we provide a very secure protection and connection into there? And essentially the idea is to prove that we're leveraging Checkpoint's very strong capabilities for access control. We're leveraging our URL filtering, our application control, over 8,400 applications mapped in the internet, millions of URLs categorized, and giving you very strict control over who can access what from your workforce. More importantly, being able to truly prevent users from downloading malicious content with our zero-day threat prevention that deploys our antivirus capabilities, our sandboxing capabilities, our anti-bot capabilities, and our IPS capabilities. And finally, our data protection, making sure that data will not be lost or not be shared with the internet unless, without your knowing, or at least that you will have control of data leaving the internet. All of this is facilitated in the cloud, and we're actually taking this a step further by combining internet-bound protection for users in 2 distinct layers, one in the cloud, the other in the browser itself. This is called Harmony Browse, and it comes in the form of a browser extension. It lets you run those same protections right within the browser, and it collaborates on the protection with the cloud. What this does is actually give us 2 layers of protection that work together. So if something can be secured within the browser, by the way, living in the browser means we don't need to deal with all the SSL inspection and rerouting user traffic. And we see the pages inside the browser as they're rendered. Very, very strong security, very user-friendly. But when we don't have that layer of protection in the browser, then we'll always mandate that the protection goes to the cloud. So we have about 7 minutes left. So just to quickly summarize, we've talked about Harmony Connect. We've looked at some of the guideline principles for Harmony Connect, what we're doing to address security, unification, zero trust, and user experience. And we've seen some really cool demos by Or, gone pretty heavily and deeply into the remote access scenario. And that's a new capability within Harmony Connect that we're very excited about. Let us know in the polls, what you think. Please share any questions you have in the Q&A, and we can take it from there.
So thank you, Eitan, for that, and thank you, Or. Or, had you finished your part? Do you have any further follow-up use case or ideas that you can share around SASE and ZTNA?
I think to sum it up, what it is important here is that the world is changing in one really short sentence, and we want to provide a solution that is just fits that agenda. If it's from security, if it's from agility, if it's from connectivity, and this is what we're doing with Harmony Connect. And it's something that we as Checkpoint are investing a lot of time and effort into that area, and it's going to expand more and more in the next few months and years to come. And eventually, kind of like what you said, Moses, in the beginning, our idea is to consolidate a lot of solutions into one very easy to use product from the cloud. This is our mission. And then the main part of it is making customers happy with one solution to kind of rule them all. So that's kind of to summarize what we were trying to say here.
Okay, thank you, Or. So again, our customers, we want to encourage you that this is not the end of really the presentation that we're having. This is just the beginning. And for us is really to share this information out there. We have a whole team of us here, across East Africa, covering you, serving you as customers. So we would want to take even this conversation to the next level, where we shall actually be reaching out to you to see what areas you'd want to have more information on, how specific is it to your environment. And even there, we can now dive further into it and discuss if where demos are needed, we can set up the demos. Where POCs would be necessary, then we can even go to that level. And the whole idea is, as the quotes that I shared earlier, and my apologies, technology failed me for a bit, that indeed this remote working is here to stay. So it's for us to ensure that our organizations are enabling our employees to serve us better from an organization perspective. So indeed, we are grateful that you've been able to join us. But I will leave. I want to ask Eitan if you have any closing remarks. I know we have about 4 minutes. If you have any closing remarks.
First of all, I want to apologize for all the technical hiccups I had during this session, but looks like I'm finally back with vigor. I'd like to first of all thank all the people who joined today. We're very happy to continue to engage with you, both with our local team in your region, and if needed, with Checkpoint experts from our headquarters and R&D and product management, etc. Or and I, of course, are at your disposal. As Or said, this is really coming from us as a market leader in network security and moving to help customers adopt network security as a cloud service with a very modern solution that's very easy to deploy, very user-friendly, and also delivers the best security. I think it's the best security in the industry. If you're interested, if you have a use case for that, approach your Checkpoint representative. We can help you with a POC. The onboarding is really, really easy. Everything's cloud delivered. Everything's lean and simple, cloud managed. So if you're interested, please approach Moses and his team, and we'll work with you to help get a POC and help you address hopefully some of your security challenges.
Thank you, Eitan. Or any closing remarks?
I think Eitan summed it up very, very well. Just if you have any need, feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to help. That's what we're here for.
Great. So again, to our customers and the entire audience, we are grateful that you've been able to join us. So just to remind you again, from the beginning, we have our premier cybersecurity event slotted for 23rd and 24th next week. The link has been shared. We encourage you to plan to join us. It will be starting in the afternoon. I mean, at least you will have a better chance to catch at least one or two of the key sessions that will be running. So again, we are really grateful, and we should be reaching out to you soon. And yeah, we are glad to serve you. Carol, over to you.
Well, first of all, congratulations to you on the launch of Harmony Connect. I actually did a thorough search on your website, and I did not find anything. I just came up empty, but now I know why. And I love that your system is as easy as logging into your Gmail account, that it is integrated, that it works with existing systems. I think it was Einstein who said everything should be made as simple as possible, but no simpler. The fact that there is a lot of technology behind the product and users don't notice because of the invisible infrastructure and the transparency of the process is a bonus. I have to say that even though we're all working from home, in fact, Moses, you did not share the results of the poll with us. What did the people say when it came to working from home and if they have hybrid systems?
Okay, so
how many people work from home?
So if I can just read the comments here. Carol, if you can help me navigate here from a polling perspective.
Okay. So,
yes, I can see. Does the organization have
Hello.
offices? Yeah. So we do have, from the polling results, 66% of us have remote users, 28% hybrid. It's only 6% that of the attendees are saying that, yeah, they are yet to go there. But so it speaks for itself. Over 94%, around 94% of users have remote users. So a big thing for us indeed to know how then are we securing those remote users accessing our corporate resources.
Okay, well, that's great. I mean, remote work is clearly the new normal, and working from everywhere does come with risks. And this burden falls on the CIOs or heads of IT, and now they have a solution they can go to. So I would like to thank you, Moses, Or, and Eitan for that illuminating conversation. I am certain organizations that come to you will feel safe. And have a good afternoon.